I think, on the other hand, Ric Flair was very generous doling out the woos.
Oh, too many woos. Too many woos. But I did like with every once in a while, he'd get quiet with the woo. Woo. Woo.
I'm coming for you.
Yeah. Woo. Woo. But then always, before he'd leave, he'd just be like, woo! You'd hear him in the parking lot throwing out the woo. Woo! 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 Let's give a big one! Woo! You did it!
Welcome to the iKnowBadeaux podcast.
Hey, everybody, and welcome to the iKnowBadeaux podcast, coming at you from the local 218 studios. I am Mayor David of the City Brainerd. With me, as always, is my brother.
Can't steal it! Woo!
How you doing over there, Scotty?
Marvelously. I have not drank the water.
Oh, no. Oh, no. Well, speaking of the water, Gabriel Johnson's with us as well.
Hey, Dave, how's it going?
The councilman himself. He's making reference to the fact that the City of Brainerd is under a boil order for all of its city water. As the mayor, my phone has been ringing nonstop. As the councilman, I'm sure you've been involved in that situation as well.
Nope. Completely ignored it.
True story. The last 2 days, I have put my phone on Do Not Disturb for two. I've never done that before. And it wasn't that there were just too many, but I got a call from Minneapolis, from WCCO, which is the local affiliate down in Minneapolis for television. And they wanted to do an interview. And they said, like, well, we want to know what people need to know when they come up to their cabins. And I'm like, you don't even know what the city of Brainerd is.
Nope. They do not.
You have no idea what our city is. So, you know what? I'm going to pass on that. Do not disturb. Hey, anyways, it sounds like we've got a plan for today. Are we ready, gentlemen, here?
Yes.
I almost said ladies and
Yes,
gentlemen. So this week we are doing Draft Day. Wrestling edition. So this is going to be an episode all about WWE, WCW. If you want to throw out AWA or any of the other one, ECW or any of the other, what was some of the more violent ones they had for a little bit there? Do you remember any of them?
TNA?
Yeah, TNA.
TNA
Yep.
wrestling?
Yeah. With, a lot of tax and whatnot.
Oh, geez.
Oh, yeah.
Backyard wrestling. If you want to draft backyard wrestlers, you can. However, we have put together a list of our favorite wrestlers from all time. I would not say that we are big time wrestling fans. I think Gabe, you still watch a little bit of wrestling here and there.
Boys getting into it, so it's a little bit.
Yeah. Mine is all nostalgia based. It's all 80s, 90s, little early 2000s. But then, you see things as you go. Scott, what's your association with wrestling?
Yeah, I think when I was like 12,
Okay.
it was pretty big on the playground.
Oh, yeah.
And then from 12 to 16, not a whole lot. But then
Okay.
when I turned 16, our mom got into it.
I don't remember that. I would have been gone by then.
Yeah, so I was just in the house with mom,
Watching wrestling.
All the other kids were gone, so I'd sit on the computer,
Yep.
and the TV would be on next to me,
Yep.
and it was always like SmackDown or Raw, whatever it was.
Interesting.
She really liked the Edge.
Oh,
the
nice.
wrestler Edge.
Okay. All right. Yeah. So we're a nostalgia podcast, and so we thought, why not? There's some real fun to be had with some of the wrestlers. So why not? So here's the list that we've compiled. The way this works is that we have 12 wrestlers listed. We each will take a turn drafting one wrestler, snake draft, down and back, down and back. We all will draft 4 wrestlers total. There are 12 on the list. However, we each can go off of the list one time if we want and pick somebody that isn't on there. So last time we started with Gabe, I believe, and then we swapped it and hot swap. Scott, we're going to start with you, and then we'll go to Gabe.
I will waste no time.
Wait, should we give the list first? I'm sorry.
We should probably give the list first.
Let's waste some time.
Yes, I will waste no time.
You will waste no
The
time.
mayor will waste lots of time.
As is a mayoral's duty. A mayoral's duty. All right, so the list is as follows. Hulk Hogan, The Rock, Stone Cold Steve Austin, John Cena.
John Cena. Never heard of that guy.
John Cena, Sting, The Undertaker, Ric Flair, Macho Man, Randy Savage, Bret Hart, Ultimate Warrior, Andre the Giant, and Mankind.
After hearing the list again, I might have to waste some time.
Okay. All right. Well, let's get started, though. Who's your first pick in the official iKnowBadeaux wrestler draft. Who is Scott going with?
I was going to lead off with The Rock.
Okay.
I am not going to lead off with The Rock anymore. I'm taking The Undertaker.
He's taking The Undertaker.
Nice.
Oh, man. Undertaker off the board. Give us a little chat about him. Let's hear your take on The Undertaker.
Well, unlike your The Rocks and your John Cenas, who went on to have movie careers
Sure.
and whatever and play different characters,
Yep.
perhaps, The Undertaker is The Undertaker.
The Undertaker, yes.
That's what he is, and he's the best. Terrifying.
I would argue that best transformation from origins of character to where he ended up at the end. At the beginning, he was mystical, had supernatural powers. You throwing people, we talked about it, throwing people in coffins and slamming it shut, you're dead. There's nothing else that can happen other than you're dead. To then becoming like slightly less, and then eventually just became like a biker.
He was a biker. And then he went back to Undertaker.
Okay.
With some biker tendencies.
Did he get biker powers at the end? I guess I missed that part.
No, I like The Undertaker. That's a good pick. His backstory is one of the best because the $1 Million Man was feuding with somebody and he went out to a graveyard and brought The Undertaker back from the dead to come in and win a wrestling match from.
I did not know this.
I think it's a great pick. You got anything else on him?
I think that's it.
I think in terms of like wrestling costumes as well. I made fun of the original Undertaker's costume a few times. It is just really corny. It is straight out of a Halloween store, including the booty covers, and I love it. I love it. However, eventually they got 25 years in, and we're like, you know what? Maybe
Just a cool costume.
maybe we just have you ride in on a Harley.
Well, and the dude, like, he just retired recently, and so he was on a bunch of podcasts talking about his career, and you realize that the dude has just been playing the same character for like 30 fucking years. Never once broke character anywhere.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Yeah, it is really crazy.
And a little depressing.
I don't think he's that depressed. He made a pretty good living.
He did.
It is interesting. I think the reason why I find this interesting, the reason why I said this is a good option for the podcast is that you're starting to now get all these stories from them talking about all the stuff that happened behind the scenes. And that stuff is fascinating because the business of it, the show of it, and then just the actual, like, these are real life people that are doing things that are pretty dangerous, but also very hard on your body, and just traveling around doing a stunt show over and over and over again. And it's just a fascinating dichotomy of what's happening behind the scenes that you have no idea any of that was even happening because show must go on.
Yes.
Yeah. Excellent pick. Undertaker off the board. I think it's a great first pick. Mainly because I don't want him to come, use the lightning powers of the stadium.
Yeah, don't take us on it.
The lights are flickering. Gabe, you're up.
I'll go with the obvious first choice. Hulk Hogan.
Yeah, old news.
No, I mean, Hulk Hogan made the WWE what it is. They were still just kind of a small regional thing. They were pulling some other groups together. And Hulk Hogan beat Andre the Giant in the first WrestleMania and went on to headline 8 of the first 9 WrestleManias to kind of turn the organization into what it is. And as a 7-year-old kid, watching him run around the ring, putting his hand to his ear is like the most exciting thing you can see somebody do.
There was the heavy leaning into the America angle as well, because back then a lot of your heels had to be like the Sheik and stuff like that. You had to get into these, racist battles.
It was mostly Soviet battles, but the Iron Sheik was not.
Mostly Soviet battles. But so starting off with that angle, just in no offense, probably the biggest wrestling star from the 80s and 90s, I would say for sure. You know, there are probably some that have eclipsed it now, but that was wrestling for 2 decades.
He was it.
Yeah. Favorite Hulk Hogan match, if you had to pick one?
When I was a kid, my uncle would pay for the WrestleManias. He'd put them on tape and bring them up.
Oh, nice.
And there was a time shortly after Hulk Hogan and Macho Man were a tag team where they started feuding, and they were the headline event at a WrestleMania, and Hulk Hogan won, of course. I remember that happening.
I love the battle with Andre the Giant, where Andre the Giant is basically broken and
literally broken back.
Yep, broken back, can't do anything, and them just trying to sell a stadium full of people on. Yeah, we're not going to be doing a lot here. We're just going to kind of hug each other out a little bit. But this man can hug hard.
He's big.
An excellent choice. All right, Undertaker off the board, Hulk Hogan off the board. I would like to wait on this pick. However, there's no way I'm not getting
I'll
this.
go.
Nope, there's no way I'm missing this individual. And it is going to be Sting.
Of course.
My all-time favorite wrestler, and I will say this, that much like The Undertaker, went through the long, switching of the character. I loved Sting when Sting was just in the colored, the multicolored face paint and with the scorpion down the leg, which I think is why I liked him. But I just liked his finishing moves and the face paint. I kind of liked the face paint. Not so much now, I would say. Like now, if a dude came out with face paint, I'd be like, what are you cuddling your face for?
Sure.
But then I was really, really into it. And then, the Crow came out and he just totally stole the Crow, which I still don't understand how that happened. Because if someone just came out in wrestling and was like, I'm Mickey Mouse now, I'd be like, you know what? I'm going to say there's probably a lawsuit coming out on that. But I guess if you are just a dude with white face paint.
Yeah, you're a mime.
Yeah. But that was, to me, really interesting because that was kind of, if you're a fan of how the 80s and 90s went, late 80s, very colorful, very bright. I love 1987 to 1992, probably my favorite time frame ever. And then as the 90s went, we just started getting more and more dark and depressed.
Yes.
And so for the time frame, there's nothing more 1999 than Sting coming down from the rafters with a baseball bat.
The baseball bat is about as iconic as you get.
Absolutely. Plus, I will say this, and we'll talk about it more, I'm sure, but WCW World Tour, WCW versus NWO on the Nintendo 64 is an amazing game that was so much fun to play back then.
Patented grappling technology.
You learned that in your book?
It's WCW versus NWO World Tour. GamePro calls it one of the fall's hottest titles. Game Informer says it's the end-all, be-all of wrestling, featuring over 20 of WCW's and NWO's top wrestlers, a 4-player battle royal mode, and up to 40 moves per wrestler, including signature moves and foreign objects, all on Nintendo 64. Call now, 1-800-WCW-8661, or send $69.95 to the address on your screen. Also available wherever video games are sold.
Ton of fun, and Sting was my favorite character in that as well. So Sting is off the board. I'm going to wrap right back around, and there's some better options here, and I shouldn't leave some of them on the table, but I'm a big fan of one individual that just likes to go, woo!
Damn it. Damn it. You said you weren't even going to draft him.
I don't actually like him as an individual. I just think he's iconic. I think there's nothing more iconic. There's never been a character that I've enjoyed watching get their ass kicked more than him, because it's the way he sells it is just...
He can sell it.
It's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous.
It's ridiculous.
No, it's amazing.
I'm going from guy with a bat coming from the rafters to a guy shaking his head and shivering in his boots.
And every time he's touched, it's the biggest blow he's ever taken.
Or when he gets hit and is wobbled for like 30 seconds before he throws himself face first onto the mat.
He acts like a character in the video game Mike Tyson's Punch-Out. His eyes twitter.
Sure.
He wobbles and then flies up in the air back to the edge of the ring.
Dave, just because you haven't even mentioned his name, you're talking about the style and profile and limousine riding, jet flying, kiss stealing, wheeling dealing, son of a gun, the nature boy, Ric Flair. Woo!
I can't not select him because entertainment, right? We're watching entertainment.
Yeah.
The man is just pure entertainment. So, back over to Gabe again.
Oh, yeah,
I knew it. I had to take him. I knew it.
Yeah, well, that's all right. I'm going to go with one Stone Cold Steve Austin.
That was my next choice. I was debating.
You know, he pretty much carried the brand through the Attitude Years.
Oh, yeah.
Right? And Vince McMahon hated him, but he kept winning and beating Triple H and The Rock and all the guys Vince McMahon wanted to win.
Austin 316 says I just whipped your ass.
The great thing about him is slamming beers.
Oh, yeah.
You know, you just pop 2 beers open, slam them together. And
Oh, can we talk about the guy that throws
Yes.
him his beers?
Yes.
From like 60 yards away,
Yes.
it seems like half the time, just
Yes.
on a dime. That's incredibly
And
impressive.
and not just 1, 2 beers on a dime, night after night.
Yeah.
No praise. There's never a mention
No,
of.
He's not in the Hall of Fame.
No. Well, he will be in the Hall of Fame. If there's going to be a Hall of Fame inductee that needs to be put in, and sadly it'll be after he dies because that's what happens. But yeah, the beer thrower is amazing, and to catch them constantly. I'm sure it happened from time to time. There was a missed beer,
right.
but yeah, what a great gimmick! What a great way to sell. Just no, we're gonna kick some ass.
We're opening a can of whoop ass.
Excellent choice. Excellent choice.
And that's the bottom line because Stone Cold said so.
Scott, over to you.
What was, speaking of the wrestling games on the 64, what was the like dragon guy?
Oh,
What was his name?
man, I'm trying to remember if it was in that game, but if you go back far enough, there's
It doesn't matter what his name was. I'm picking The Rock.
I'm picking The Rock.
now you got to say it. You got to give the tagline or anything.
What, whooping your candy ass? Do you smell what The Rock is cooking? It doesn't matter what your name is.
You have to give the people's eyebrow, too.
and rub your elbow. Go.
Biggest movie star in the world.
Pretty big right now. Yes, an amazing.
A legacy. His
Yes.
dad was a wrestler.
Yep.
There's video of him in the crowd watching his dad wrestle back in the 80s or whenever the hell that was.
And talk about a cornball. Like that dude, huge cornball when he first started, you know, like, and then to build up that persona. What was his first name?
I don't remember.
God, it was Rocky
Dwayne?
something. No, it was Rocky. God, I'm trying to remember what his first wrestling name was. But yeah, he just wrestled under his family name essentially.
Right.
And he was just a dweeb looking kid. Like,
Yeah.
looked like, oh yeah, this guy's wrestling with his dad and his brother.
Rocky Maivia?
Yep. Well, now we sound stupid because wrestling fans. We are mild wrestling fans. But yeah, he was going right off of the family name, going right.
Yeah. He also played on the legendary Miami Hurricanes
Yes, he did.
team
Yes, he did.
with, I think, Ray Lewis.
Really? I didn't know that.
Ray Lewis and was Ed? No, that can't be. I don't remember. There was a lot of really great football players on that team, and The Rock was one of them. He was a defensive end, I think.
That's
or a
interesting.
defensive tackle.
Yeah, that's interesting. Great pick. I think for your casual wrestling fan, that's, you know, just stood out in that time frame of a guy that could grab the microphone and talk. You know, and that's what they needed then, right? We're gonna have a couple matches with dudes that are just known to just smash on you, and the match is over immediately. Now we need somebody to fill some time with some speaking. Yeah, good pick. I like that. You get to go again.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's right. That's how these things work. Oh, who is left?
So currently on our list of people that you can select.
We got John Cena, Macho Man, Bret Hart, Ultimate Warrior, Andre the Giant, Mankind. I think that's it.
I think that's it as well. You can also go off the board. You have one more selection after this.
Okay. In the same vein as The Rock, I'm going with John Cena.
Damn it.
I knew you were going to
Going with John Cena.
I knew you were
You
John.
can't see me.
Comes in as a rapper. He was a rapper to start his career.
He was a rapper.
He was basically a jacked Vanilla Ice.
I was going to say Marky Mark.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hey, I got an idea for a character. What if I was Marky Mark?
And he wears a giant chain.
Oh yeah. That's a huge bitch. So John Cena was just outside of my viewing experience. He was one that I remembered at the time being like, that is so cornball. I want nothing to do with it.
I did not like him at all.
No, but now looking back at it, I think it's hilarious. He's become much like Chuck Norris to me.
Okay.
Just feels, like that song comes on and it just feels very much Chuck Norris-y to me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, all right, yeah. What?
Yeah, also, genuinely funny.
Yeah.
A genuinely funny dude.
He does a lot of Nickelodeon stuff. And
Sure.
He's good in the studio. He's good
Yeah.
in hosting award shows and stuff.
Yeah,
He's-
I didn't dislike him in the Suicide Squad. I didn't think that was terrible. Peacemaker, I believe, is the character's name. I have not watched his actual show, the HBO show. With
I
him,
almost
but-
put that on last night.
Yeah.
But I have to watch the Suicide Squad first.
I've heard really positive things about it, so yeah, excellent selection.
There's a thing on Fallon that he does. It's called Mad Lib Theater. I love Mad Libs because they're just silly nonsense.
Yep, that's you and a T.
And so John Cena did a Mad Lib, and then they have to act out the scene using the Mad Libs, and it's one of the funniest things I've ever seen. I love it. I definitely recommend you check it out.
Oh, that's fantastic. All right, Gabe, back to you. You keep getting screwed over
I'm
here.
getting swooped here in the middle, but I got to say, The Rock, John Cena, that could have been the first two picks off the board. That's a good couple of picks, there, Scotty. I'm going to go for a little reuniting of one of the greatest tag teams in the history of WWE. Right now. I'm going to draft Randy Macho Man Savage, teaming back up with Hollywood Hulk Hogan.
They were on a team?
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, they won the tag team championship.
Because I remember, I looked it up a couple of weeks ago. Macho Man Randy Savage never once defeated Hulk Hogan.
No, he was the bad guy. Hulk Hogan was America.
But he never once, they said they had like 200 matches against each other, and not one time did he win. He was 0 for 200. That's why I couldn't pick him.
Now they're on the same team. He doesn't need to worry about it.
No. Yeah, hey, I'd like to be at the top. Can I be at the top, please?
But Randy Savage's voice,
I
knew it.
Oh yeah.
Incredible.
It's an all-time great wrestling voice for the trash talking in between the matches.
I cannot confirm this, but from the little bits of documentaries on wrestling that I've been watching recently, supposedly that's just who that dude is. That's not like he got into character.
That's not a character?
Nope, that's just
That's
he
even
was
better.
walking around just, oh man, that was a lot of fun out there. Really enjoyed that. Good job.
Yeah, the next bitch is at your house.
That's an excellent selection as well. Are you at 2 here or?
No, I'm in the middle.
You're in the middle. Okay, so it's coming back to me already? Oh my gosh. All right. I'm gonna have to. Speaking of tag teams,
I thought this is where Gabe was going.
I thought he was too, and I was gonna say you're getting me back here for
Yeah, I could have.
for stealing Ric Flair from you, but sticking with my kind of time frame that I'm a huge fan of, my all-time favorite wrestlers, Sting, and then the Road Warriors. So technically, I'm taking
tandem.
taking
Taking
two, but you can't. There are tag teams you can separate, right? You can have Bret Hart, Owen Hart. You can have various different combinations, like you said here with Macho Man and with Hulk Hogan, can go their separate ways. You cannot separate Hawk and Animal from one another. Their hair is the inverse of one another. They are together one entity. And originally, and once again, just blatantly ripping off something, the Road Warriors, blatantly coming directly from the movie, The Road Warrior. But I just love it. I loved the spikes. I loved the face paint. Just their attitude in the ring.
About as cool as you get for an 8-year-old boy playing Super Nintendo.
Honestly, seriously, about as cool as you can get. Like, take a look at these guys. And I kind of liked tag team matches. I thought it was fun. A little bit of the pageantry, a little bit of the nonsense, but then you got some high flying action as well in there.
Yeah.
And I was just a huge fan. And then as well, it seems to be a theme for me that I like the transitions that people have as well. So you had the Road Warriors, and then they became the Legion of Doom. And then at that point, they had the red spiked shoulder pads. Yeah.
That was the same guys.
Oh, yeah.
Hawk and Animal. Did they stay as Hawk and Animal?
Stayed as Hawk and
the Legion
Animal.
of Doom?
Yep, they were still the Legion of Doom. They just changed their name. I'm sure it was from a lawsuit. It had to have been. I didn't look into that. But yeah, just love them. And then I believe from Chicago, but like many people in this list, very heavily involved with Minneapolis because of Gagne and that whole connection down there. So I think I talked about it previously. I've got a picture of one of my friends that I have, her and her brother. Their dad was a bodybuilder that won like Mr. Universe and stuff. And she's got pictures of those two like holding him up, like on his shoulders because they came to the car dealership or something. So very well connected to Minnesota, but also just literally Sting and the Hawk and Animal, the Road Warriors, my all-time favorite. So off the board.
And tip of the cap to Mike Nelson. It's the year 2023. He still has his fantasy football team named the Road Warriors.
Natural disasters, you're gonna beat up who? We've been fighting the odds all our life, and we ain't lost shit, and we ain't gonna start now. You can forget history. What you two need to do is eat more salad. All right? This Sunday night, you ain't gotta pray.
All right, and I'm gonna switch it back around on the coming back. If I'm gonna do something on the board, the characters that I would potentially pick would be Ultimate Warrior, who I'm a gigantic fan of, again with the face paint. Ever seen a dude just smacked out on cocaine? He's the guy. Mankind's still on the list. Andre the Giant's still on the list. But just because in our conversations earlier, you two were a little sour on this guy, and I'm going to give him his love. I'm going to go with Bret Hart for my last selection here.
Thanks for that.
I figured so much for you two. I'll leave your selections out there. I'm a big fan just because I like when someone rises to the top that they didn't want to rise to the top. So I was watching some other stuff in the last week, and they were talking about how in his first match, he was up against the guy that they wanted to be the next Hulk Hogan, American flag guy, all this stuff. And he had such a great match with him that Vince McMahon was like, oh, this is the dude. And it turns out he wasn't. And then slowly but surely you just find out, oh, this other guy is just wickedly talented, makes people look great in the ring. And then so far as getting all the way to the end to where he just completely gets screwed over. Like his last match, he just completely gets screwed over and
How so?
Was supposed to win in his hometown in Canada, and they pulled a fast one on him, and he lost the match, and you can actually see him get pissed off in the actual recording of it because he's like, "Fuck this! What is going on?" So yeah, the Montreal screw job, the actual name of this that happened, because he's from Montreal as well. So. And they did it in his hometown, and was supposed to win for the championship, I believe. Yeah. And yeah, just behind the scenes got screwed over, and that was just the end of it. And that's the
How did he lose?
I believe it was supposed to be that he like kicks out, and the count, he's supposed to get out before the count, and the ref just counts him out. Match over.
Didn't delay the 2 to 3.
Didn't delay, and just goes boom, boom, boom,
Okay.
done. And
So it wasn't like he fell out of the ring and he's not supposed to be out of the ring thing. Like
no,
somebody came in and was just like, oh no, we're doing this.
He thinks he's going to win, but he's out of here after tonight. So just Yep.
As soon as I get dressed, if you're still here, I said I'm gonna knock you out.
And he gave me one. Right in the temple, left side.
I hit him as hard as I could. I remember it going 14 years.
Yeah, and you know, that's kind of the fun thing to me about wrestling is that you've got, you know, it's all predetermined stunt show, right? And that's what I like about it. I think that that's fascinating. The old stuff is not quite so fascinating. Now it's more fascinating. It's like these guys are actually putting themselves into some risk, and it's a show, and you've got to have some choreograph to it. And then, but yet behind the scenes, they're just like, nope, that ain't happening. See you later, dude. Just because we don't like it, I don't like you, and I'm done with you.
Sure.
Yeah, and I believe it was all over a contract dispute. So I'm going to give him some love for that, because if you've got an actual controversy called the screw job named after you, that's going to be my selection.
Not even the WWE people liked him.
So there we go. So my list: Sting, Ric Flair, the Road Warriors, and Bret Hart. Back over to Gabe to wrap up.
I've got maybe the greatest wrestler of all time. He is the current undisputed WWE Universal Champion. He's headlined 7 WrestleMania headlines. He is the head of the bloodline. And that is one Roman Reigns.
Okay.
So he has held the undisputed championship for over 1,000 days, the longest ever. He's also part of the Anoa'i family, he's cousins with The Rock, and a couple of his other cousins are in WWE right now too. But he is basically the only thing they talk about every single episode now, both on Raw and SmackDown. Like if you're a kid nowadays, when you're old,
sure,
all you're going to remember is Roman Reigns. Like,
sure.
It is Roman Reigns' show.
Okay.
Both nights of the week. It's nothing but Roman. So he doesn't lose. He got pinned a couple weeks ago by his cousin. They're feuding now. Scary stuff. Scary stuff. But that was the first time he'd been pinned in 3 years.
Oh, that's great.
So he should have been the first pick overall.
Did Hulk Hogan ever get pinned?
Well, yeah, Hulk, especially because he went to WCW and that had that whole thing. Yeah.
That's the problem with not getting pinned is Roman Reigns has only won the belt like 2 times in 10 years, where Hogan won it like 15 times because he would lose and then go win it back.
Yeah. I love that you said that though, because you're absolutely correct. Like my world of wrestling is a very specific time frame, right? And you have 2 boys that are right in that sweet spot. It kind of makes me want to make my little guys get in.
That sounds like a terrible idea. Sounds like awful idea.
I am well aware. My kids are dangerous just the way that they are. Yeah. We have a arsenal of weapons on top of the fridge that have been confiscated. So I like little weapons. I think they're fun, you know. And then,
your children are the reason that parents in the 90s were up in arms about Power Rangers.
Yes,
and
absolutely.
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
They just want to get at it.
They watch it and they immediately punch each other. Immediately. And then he punched me. He's like, yeah, but you drop kicked him first. Of course he punched you. Every time I'll pick the little guy up and we're in the kitchen, he'll look up there and see what weapons are up there. He's like, oh, I want that. I was like, you know why that's up there. It's not coming. I should just throw them away, but I kind of like them.
I used to have to do that on top of the fridge. You just have a stack of bats and clubs and whatever.
Yeah. That's awesome. Yeah. All right. So Roman Reigns off of the list. And Scott, you are down to the end. You haven't went off the list.
I have not gone off the list.
So you have the option of Ultimate Warrior, Andre the Giant, Mankind, which was potentially my last pick.
You know,
the Repo Man.
I'm leaning heavily towards Mankind. Repo Man's way up there.
Yep. Can I throw out just a couple more names that I really enjoy?
Yeah.
Jake the Snake, Razor Ramon. I think those are like the same dude. Awesome.
Rowdy Roddy Piper!
Like I said, big fan of Mankind. Big fan of all of Mick Foley's roles.
Yeah.
And Mick Foley on his own is
Yes.
just a swell guy.
He's a character.
A nice human
a really
being.
nice guy.
Yeah. It's just like, so then the guy threw me off the top of the cage.
I lost all my teeth.
And wear the Hannibal Lecter mask for a while. Maybe the most famous wrestling moment of all time when the Undertaker throws him off the steel cage
And knocked him out cold.
he fell like 20 feet through a table.
Turns out, hurts.
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah.
But I'm
Okay.
going with the little guy off the board, the masked man himself, Mr. Rey Mysterio.
Rey Mysterio.
Maybe the most fun wrestler to watch perform in the ring of all time.
Yes.
When he is wrestling against somebody 3 times his size and is just wrapping around him like a tornado of fury.
Yeah, I completely agree.
Yeah, his the move he does when somebody is in between the ropes dangling and he dives through the ropes and swings himself around and kicks you in the face. Incredible performer.
Yeah, and you can only have so many of those guys, right? Because that's
The luchador
yep.
type.
That weight class, those guys are around
Right.
200 pounds that can just fly.
Just zipping around.
But then do it, right? So you had, like you talked about, like the Attitude Era. There was a bunch of that going on as well, but not to the level that this is. This is like precision.
Oh, yeah.
It's not just reckless abandonment and flying off of ladders and stuff. It's precision. You didn't see the kick coming type of stuff.
Right, and he's still doing it today. So yeah, he's not hurting himself and getting crushed. He knows what he's doing.
Yeah. It turns out, people jumping out of the rink onto tables, whether or not they break away or not, it always looks to me like you're going to break your neck because it always bends at their back, and then their neck is always at like a 90-degree angle, and so he's like, that's not comfortable. There's no way that ended well.
No.
Yeah, but no, that's a fantastic pick, and back to N64. I mean, you could Rey Mysterio the hell out of that game.
He was unbeatable.
Yeah. Excellent selection.
Dave, I'm a little disappointed in your pick.
Okay.
I thought for sure you were going to draft Kane.
I thought about it.
I mean, he's the Undertaker's little brother. He's the same kind of mysterious character who was great for decades.
Yep.
And now he's the mayor of a county in Tennessee.
Really?
Yeah, and like a really nice guy too. Yeah. Huge individual, but like a really nice guy. There was a cool thing I just saw recently with him. It was the Undertaker, and then a guy that buys collectibles went into his like attic space, and they were going through these old bins, and he pulled out one of the old masks, and it was just really cool to hear these guys like talk about it. It's like, yeah, I like wore that thing 1,000 times, and there's like this connection to it, but at the same time, it's like just a piece of equipment that
it's a uniform.
Well, and if you go back, far enough, they made them. So like he was showing the one, like the initial design that he had, and it had a cape.
Nice.
You gotta have a cape.
Yeah, and they're just a really nice guy.
Yeah. Now, when that guy was introduced, I think I was probably 10 or 11 years old, and he was just the coolest, coolest guy ever. Didn't say a word. He just stood there all menacingly.
It's basically Game of Thrones. It is the Mountain and the Hound. It's like, you held my face to fire, and now I'm coming to get you type of thing. But yeah, great story, And again, 2 gigantic human beings going after each other with supernatural powers.
And a mayor. I thought you'd be biased towards drafting a mayor.
I'm a fan, but I liked more of the woo, and the face paint. I almost wanted Ultimate Warrior. The other ones that I would have selected, for sure, Hacksaw Jim Duggan, just a dude with a 2x4.
With an American flag on it at times.
at times. The toys, the whole toy line that was big in the 80s and 90s, he always came with an actual 2x4. Like, come on, that's an ingenious marketing ploy on your end, because of course they're going to make a toy out of you. Of course they're going to make a toy out of you. He's the only one with a 2x4. Did you guys ever use the Wrestle Buddies, the pillows? Oh my God. I had a couple friends that had those, and that was one of those things where you'd go to a friend's house and you'd immediately start assessing the toy situation, and you'd look on the bed and there's a Wrestle Buddy, and you immediately know, I will be
It's go time.
I will be dropping an elbow on that.
My little guy would love those. He wrestles the couch pillows.
Yes.
All the time. If he had one that looked like Roman Reigns,
Yes.
oh my God.
Yes, and they were cartoony, like kind of like a gingerbread man shape.
They look like the pilot from Airplane.
Exactly like the pilot from Airplane. That actually reminds me of the Pillow Pals. Do you remember the Pillow Pals? It was just a pillow that they taped legs to, and my sister had a couple of them. Similar idea, only those were for cuddling and having tea parties. No, wrestling pals were like, well, I'm going to flip this guy over and drop him on his neck.
Will you please see what those boys are up to?
Introducing WWF Wrestling Buddies. Wrestling Buddies from Tonka. Bonk 'em, bop 'em. Wrestling Buddies are looking for action.
Hey, fellas, what's going on?
Nothing, Dad.
Drop kick!
Who do you think you are?
That's Hulk Hogan!
Wrestling Buddies want to be your buddies.
Henry, what's going on up there?
Nothing, dear.
WWF Wrestling Buddies, new from Tonka.
Fantastic. All right, so Scott's list: The Undertaker, The Rock, John Cena, Rey Mysterio.
Oh.
That's a hell of a group. That's a hell of a group.
A winning combination.
Gabe, you went with Hulk Hogan. Stone. Wow.
Holy moly.
Wow. Hulk Hogan, Stone Cold Steve Austin, Macho Man, Randy Savage. You went with people with the longest names. And
And the head of the bloodline.
And the head of the bloodline.
Roman Reigns.
Roman Reigns.
I know nothing about Roman Reigns except for what you just told me.
Well, you're not watching wrestling.
That's why I left
now.
him off the board. It'd be an easy, I win. I have Roman Reigns.
And then I, of course, went with Sting, Ric Flair, the Road Warriors, and Bret Hart. And again,
just B players, just B
players?
B.
B players. I got the number one villain of all time. I mean,
So he's good at losing.
Yeah.
woo! And Sting is just my all-time favorite. And
Sting's
come on.
great.
Yeah. Plus,
I really am upset I didn't get the Ric Flair. I'm a big woo guy.
Oh,
I like a good woo.
we talked about. You came and watched my son play baseball
Yep.
the one time, and there's a couple of dads and I that they look at us or look at me, and they're waiting for it. And you do not prematurely woo. It has to be a legit woo.
Appropriately timed woo.
Appropriately timed. And the kids got to know, if you just start throwing out woos for nothing,
Right.
they don't mean nothing. You
Yeah,
got to
you might as well be clapping.
That's just right. You might as well. You might as well say yay team.
I think on the other hand, Ric Flair was very generous doling out the woos.
Oh, too many woos. Too many woos. But I did like with every once in a while he'd get quiet with the woo. Woo. Woo.
I'm coming for you.
Yeah. Woo. Woo. But then always before he'd leave, he'd just be like, woo! You'd hear him in the parking lot throwing out the woo. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that about does it for this episode. Not bad. We're not giant wrestling fans, and I know that probably a lot of our listeners are not as well, but there are plenty of people that can enjoy just the pageantry and the the entertainment value of something like this that's been going on forever. And when you've basically monopolized something like the NFL or the NBA, or in this case, WWE, when you've monopolized an entire genre of entertainment, you're doing something right. And this is great for bringing back the nostalgia of the childhood. Scott, favorite memory from wrestling of anything?
Oh, I don't know. Favorite memory of wrestling of any kind.
Like if someone said wrestling to you, what would be what would be the first thing that came to your head?
Honestly, probably Sting and the baseball bat,
you
the
go.
barbed wire baseball bat. Sorry, was it barbed wire or was it nails?
I don't think it was.
Favorite memory? I can't remember.
Yeah, the baseball bat is great. Gabe?
I mean, honestly, if you ask me right now, the first thing I'd think of would be Roman Reigns.
My God.
Because I watch an occasional episode of WWE, and that he's basically, I think it's the only wrestler they have left.
It's just Roman Reigns and a bunch of guys named Scott.
Oh man. I'll agree to that too. That's the best. And just anything from that time frame of the early WrestleManias when they're like, no, we just decided to do this. And we've talked about before. For me, it's the Royal Rumbles, the just most ridiculous concept that has ever been invented. But yet, the countdown clock needs to be involved in more things. Like basketball games should start with just 2 people on the court, and then there should be a countdown clock to when the
more teammates
come out. Football should be the same way. That's how overtime should be in football. Is just a countdown clock to when you actually get a receiver.
I don't know about that. I mean, baseball added a countdown clock, a pitch clock this year, and it cut games down by like an hour.
Yes.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Clocks are a good thing.
Well, but I like the chanting of it. I like the crowd getting into the chant of, we're counting down together and something's going to happen. I think it's a great idea.
Yeah, we don't chant for the pitch clock.
We should.
We should.
We absolutely should.
3, 2, All right, ladies and gentlemen, we will be back next week. We are coming back with some news with Scotty, so be prepared for that. And then we'll be wrapping back around with 1995 to start the next month. So that'll be coming up as well. Feel free to send us out your responses for what you'd like to see from 1995. I'm going to be talking a lot Heat, a lot of Michael Mann.
Yeah, somebody tell me what movie I should watch.
Yeah, somebody tell him what movie he should watch, and hopefully something that it has humor that Scott will enjoy, which is just nonsense.
Yeah.
Absolute nonsense. So look forward to that as well.
The more people that trip over the subtitles, the better.
And with that, we're done. Yeah, the screw job. What a great.
That's very interesting.
It's real because he reacts very as someone on steroids and cocaine would act when finding out that you just got completely screwed.
When the, as he calls it, Montreal screw job occurred, I wanted to make sure that Bret saw me out at ringside and know that what I did was the right thing to do, at least from my standpoint. He's really good at spitting, I'm sorry to say.